think we can all agree that 2020 has been an absolutely crazy year. In between the quarantine and the presidential elections, it has been absolutely crazy. We have all been a part of something huge this year, and our political state is not exactly as great as it once was. My name is Fabian Horton, and I have thoroughly researched the topic of what exactly has been going on politically and why we are thinking about politics the way that we are. Side note, I have worked at the state capitol before and have remained nonpartisan, so I can give this information to you with absolutely no bias. So without further ado, let's talk about the first thing that's coming up, and I'd like to touch down on what I'm just going to call lightly here, national insecurity. So over the last year, some of our more basic constitutional freedoms have been challenged. This is including freedom of speech, and we have also had problems in which we were sent into quarantine. Our nation is being actively divided by news outlets and divisive politicians who are seeking out certain agendas to benefit their given parties. Friends and families will simply fight over simple political beliefs. We are surrounded by a world that is trying to change us, and I have narrowed it down to three major reasons that are affecting our political beliefs. We have the media, we have religion, and we have just what is dividing us. Why are we being divided by this? So, potentially the biggest factor of what is changing us politically is the media. And I'd just like to touch base here on a really great resource. It's called The 6 Ways the Media Influence Elections. With so many ways that the media interacts with us on a day-to-day basis, this is a really great summary of exactly how it is affecting us. So, the first thing I'd like to point out is that our media outlets show political bias. They usually fall to the right or to the left. And what's happening there is they're only showing you what they want you to see. So it is polarizing our nation. What they are showing us is heavily filtered. So after a while of only seeing this one thing shown to us over and over and over again, we begin to believe that this is the only way and that any other way is the wrong way. They are isolating us in our own bubbles. And another thing I want to touch down here on real quick is presented to me from a resource called Elections 2020, the role of social media in the U.S. elections. And this resource more talks about how our candidates and politicians use social media. And I can tell you right now that even in the courtrooms, they're using this. And this is important because while they're in their meetings passing bills, they will be on their phones, on Facebook, tweeting whatever is going on. And stuff that probably should have much rather stayed in the courtroom is getting out to the public. And oftentimes, as we have seen over the last few years, social media has been painting our politicians in a light that maybe we would have been better off not seeing. So, media is not all bad, but it definitely has its drawbacks and have hurt us politically. Something that has gone further back than media is religion. This is affecting us since the foundation of our country. I'm not saying that having the representation is a bad thing. Having the representation is great, especially in a country whose constitution is founded upon religious morals. However, when you have a country that's founded upon religious morals that is designed to allow for other religious morals, having a bias for a certain religion restricts the accommodation of other religions within our country. And this is a big problem. A resource that is really great at highlighting this is called Religion and Politics. And just simply that. And it talks about the psychology of what is going on whenever we are looking at our politicians through a religious mindset, or if our politicians are dealing with religion in a certain way in politics. Again, it affects our practices, and it affects important decisions based solely off of religious morals. I'm going to use, for example, abortion laws. This is a very touchy subject, and there were riots at the state capitol while I was up there working while they were passing the laws. And one of the major arguments for what to do about these abortion laws was religion, religion, religion. And it was just drastically changing the field of how they were going to handle this argument. Now, the Constitution itself has placed limitations on religious involvement within the government. It states that the U.S. it states that you can only have so much religion involvement within our courthouse. Our courthouses cannot adopt any specific religion. They have to stay non-biased. And if you look at it, we are kind of leaning in the direction of having a solely religious government. Which leads us into our next subject, divisive politics. And I'm going to talk about echo chambers right here. With such religious politicians, they are hearing the same thing over and over and over again. They are only hearing the same thing. And only having certain politicians in office limits the amount of new ideas to progress ourselves forward available. This happens everywhere. Even the media outlets are taking advantage of the echo chamber. Social media is taking advantage of it. Whenever you log into Facebook, when you like a post, when you share a post, it is influencing the echo chamber that your social media apps are surrounding you by, because they base what they show you based off of what you are liking and sharing. So if you like something that's really democratic, they're going to show you something that's even more democratic. This is what an echo chamber is. It drastically affects your beliefs, makes them even stronger. A resource that is great for this is a neurophilosophy of divisive politics, inequality, and disempowerment. This not only talks about what's happening within our own echo chambers, but how this will even suppress minorities and genders and races. So whenever you have people that fall too far to the right or too far from the left, they will get something called perceived vulnerability, which is whenever someone challenges their beliefs, no matter how minor it is, that person will automatically become their enemy. It doesn't matter how close they are. They are your enemy now. It's really sad, and it's really, really scary just how quickly you can turn on each other. And another resource that I'm just going to point out here real quick is this chart I have over here. I'm going to talk about a little bit about majorities and minorities. This is from the U.S. Census. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how the echo chambers are. When you have a majority, like a white majority or a religious majority, they're going to pursue self-serving benefits which are going to create inequality. This is not intentional, it's just natural. If something's going to hurt you, you're not going to vote for it. You're not going to want to pass that bill. So this is where our minorities are being affected. Due to a small representation in government, they are lagging behind in a sense because they are not getting the same support as everyone else is, which is leading to feuds and riots because they are not getting the resources, such as what followed the death of George Floyd. So here are the resources I used. Again, fantastic resources. Just to touch base on a little bit I said earlier, we have our media influencing our beliefs. We are having divisive politicians affecting what we believe. We have people clashing over simple stuff, and our media is amplifying tensions such as racial tension, throwing our country into further chaos. It is up to us to change the world, but first we have to make ourselves better. To make ourselves better is to allow others to keep up with you on your own journey. You need to learn how to accept another person's beliefs, that way they may accept yours too, so you can find a middle ground to build each other up upon. Race doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter, political party doesn't matter, and it shouldn't, because in the end, we are all in this together. This is our world, and only we can make it better.